Hello and welcome to the Quality Coding live stream where you get to watch me and hopefully interact with me over the next hour. And even if you can't stick around for the whole hour, glad to have you. There are already 5 folks here. Hey, Mudshark, say hello in the chat. It's always fun to see where people are from too. So even if you are a regular, share where you are in the world. For those who are watching this not live, but after the fact, thank you for stopping by. Check it out, see what you think, and if you like it, hey, give it a, well, depending on where you're watching it, give it a like, a follow, a subscribe, a something to train the algorithms in your favor. And hello, Lepra Dota 2, first time chatter, good to have you. Welcome. Hope this is somewhat interesting. You will see. Hey, good to have you. Wow, what a week, huh? Like every day, my wife and I are talking about Twitter. That's never happened before. It's funny. It's sad. It's amidst the funniness of it, the total destruction and apparent surprising incompetence, there is something else I want to highlight, I want to mention, and that is the toxic culture. We've all had different experiences with our jobs, some good, some bad, some so-so. Maybe you've had some toxic workplaces. By toxic, I mean it's poisonous. It will suck your soul. It will literally shorten your life. And for those folks who are decided to stay at Twitter, you know, they did it for reasons, and I can't judge them. I can't judge them for staying. Either, you know, to sacrifice a little bit of your life, maybe a few months of your life, maybe you get a crap load of money. Good for you. There are also folks on work visas who have no choice, and I really feel for them. How are you on Twitter? What's going on? I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole, but just wanted to mention it. And Lepra Dota 2, like, where in the world are you? There's some other folks here. Anyway, let's get started. Before Romania and watching with someone. Hello, both folks in Romania. Good to have you. That's very exciting for me. I'm continue to be somewhat puzzled that my stuff, the things I share have more traction outside of the United States. It's the way it is. Coming up at Industrial Logic, I want to mention some public events that we will have in the new year. We have 4 open workshops, and I really recommend these. Starting from the bottom up, Industrial Android, or you know, good quality goes beyond boundaries, but there's something unique, I think, about the American situation where people are not interested in improving fundamental coding skills. They just want to ship, or they I don't know. They just want to hack. But thank you. I'm really glad that you're here. Industrial Android. We've also been debating, like, maybe this communicates the wrong thing. It's an industrial because this is coming from our company, Industrial Logic, but maybe that's the wrong word we've been debating. Maybe the term we want to share is modern Android development. And so if you are an iOS developer and like you've been feeling like, gosh, if I just learned some Android, then even if it's not as good as my iOS, then I'll be more T-shaped, a T-shaped engineer, which is you go really deep in one area, but you have some experience in a lot of things. That's a super helpful thing to do for your career. This is something to consider, to learn Android development from the folks who will bring you not just Android, but who will bring you good practices and help you find your way into good practices. Here's another, boy, speaking of toxic workplaces, psychological safety workshop. This is like, this is code. Code is not all we do. We are humans working with humans. And there's no escaping that. You learning to hack yourself. Learning how humans work. I feel like that's something that a lot of developers could get better at. And I'm not the same person I was years ago. Thank God for that. My wife also is thankful for that I am not the same person I once was. Psychological safety, very, very important for any team. And hey, software. Yeah, nice. Industrial iOS or modern iOS development. I am learning as fast as I can so that I can teach some cool stuff. I've got some great ideas of things I want folks to experience. So if you have some folks on your team, especially folks who are junior, or maybe you're an Android person and you want to go T-shaped, hey, check this out. And then we have our one of our flagship workshops on technical excellence. This would be like, how does a software team work? Really, really cool. These are so good. I'm so excited. Anyway, with that, let's get to code. We are starting this week the Gilded Rose. What is the Gilded Rose? The Gilded Rose is, I didn't include the README in the project here. That's okay. I've got it in app code. No, I didn't. Shoot. Okay, I'll find my way there. Emily Bache. Save me, Emily. Gilded Rose. Emily is also a coach and trainer with her own company. The Gilded Rose. Let's see. Here's the description. Here it is. Hi, and welcome to Team Gilded Rose. As you know, we are a small inn with a prime location in a prominent city run by a friendly innkeeper named Allison. We also buy and sell only the finest goods. Unfortunately, our goods are constantly degrading in quality as they approach their sell-by date. We have a system in place that updates our inventory for us. It was developed by a no-nonsense type named Leroy. Funny spelling, that's like Leroy Jenkins, who has moved on to new adventures. Meaning this is code that was written by somebody and that person has moved on. Your task, this is your code now, is to add the new feature to our system so that we can begin selling a new category of items. First, an introduction to our system. I don't think I've ever read all of this. It's just looked mysterious to me. So this is actually helpful. All items have a sell-in value, which denotes the number of days we have to sell the item. See, I saw this and I'm like, shouldn't it be sell by? And actually, even looking at the code, it was like sell in. What's sell in? Sell in. I got it. All items have a quality, which denotes how valuable it is. At the end of each day, our system lowers both values for every item, both values, the sell-in and the quality. Pretty simple, right? Yeah. Let me show you the code. Not that one. Working in the EAP here. Pretty simple. Here's our code that handles some lots of different, well, there are lots of if. How about that? Pretty simple, right? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Once the sell by date has passed, quality degrades twice as fast. The quality of an item is never negative. Aged brie actually increases in quality the older it gets. Ah, so cheese. You want your nice cheese to get older. But the quality is never more than 50. Sulphurous, being a legendary item, never has to be sold. And it never decreases in quality. So it's legendary. Backstage passes, like aged brie, increase in quality as its sell-in value approaches. So you want to get to Taylor Swift. Backstage passes, the closer you get to the date, the more you'll have to pay, because the quality increases by 2 when there are 10 days or less, and 3 when there are 5 days or less, but quality drops to 0 after the concert. And here's the request. We have recently signed a supplier of conjured items. This requires an update to our system. Conjured items degrade in quality twice as fast as normal items. Feel free to make any changes to the update quality method and add any new code as long as everything still works correctly. However, do not alter the item class or item's property, as those belong to the goblin in the corner who will insta-rage and one-shot you as he doesn't believe in shared code ownership. You can make the update quality method and items property static if you like. We'll cover for you. Whoa! No, I have never read this. In fact, when was the last WWDC that was in person? I don't remember. You know, it's been a few years. And I didn't have a ticket to WWDC, but it's right here in town. So I like to go and hang out and meet with people. And I remember meeting somebody who was an iOS developer in the UK, very much into code craft, and was surprised, as he should have been surprised, that I had never done the Gilded Rose Kata. And I've never done it in public. I have done it now, but I've never done it in public. So, let's go. Whoops. I'll just hide that. There we go. Want to keep the chat showing for folks. What do we do? We do have, so we've got all this gobbledygook. We do have, here's item, and we can't change item. We do have a starter test, but this starter test, I'll just command U. It's just a helper for students. It's easy to get passing. Now, one thing that puzzles me, I'm like, should I do this in Xcode or app code? Given the choice, I would rather do app code. But there's one thing that puzzled me, and that is the speed. Let me run this again. And if you can tell me what I'm doing wrong, I don't know. Like this is Xcode 14.1. 14.1. I am not using it in Rosetta, right? So it should be nice and fast. And yet, it takes 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds to get my test feedback, and I'm puzzled. I have the debugger off. Xcode is now doing a new bad thing. If you create a new project, it will say, unit tests, those should be run in parallel. No, they shouldn't. I've got that not running in parallel. Why? Are there any UI tests? There are not, because it isn't even an app. It is simply a framework. So no. And so I don't remember it being this bad. Maybe I should try it with Xcode 13 to see how bad it is. Oh, whoa. That might come up with some project that I shouldn't show. Okay. So I don't know what's going on there. Here's the same thing in app code. Let me run the tests. I didn't even have a chance to breathe. So that's a question mark, is whether Xcode has degraded in its testability recently, or if I don't know. I thought it was Rosetta because I have to have that on for one silly project I'm working in. I don't know, but let's get to this test, and let's start there. Well, actually, no, let's talk about where to start. Others also have a slow experience on 14 on M1. Ooh, that makes me nervous, makes me extra glad that I prefer not to use Xcode. All right, so if you dropped in, we're supposed to add a feature, conjured items. Easy. What do you do with legacy code? One of my coworkers just gave a great talk for the Philly XP group about legacy code. With he came up with, I think it was 7 rules, and I'm like, rules? That seems like, I was a little skeptical, and after watching, I'm like, wow, that's pretty much what I do. Those are great rules. So, step 1. I don't think there's anything to do in step 1 here, but step 1 is to reformat the code automatically. Did a little reformatting. So it did. So I've got reformatting. Either there's app code, or I have it set up to run Swift format. Okay, it did some cleanup. I think that's worth checking in right there. And this is an automated change. So using Arlo's notation for risk, this is reformat. And it's going to complain to say you shouldn't go around TCR, and I'll do it anyway. The other thing that came up in the talk was to get rid of noise, and noise would be things like comments or to-dos, and I don't see any in here. So then the next thing is to bring it under test. In fact, this is an important thing. I don't normally care about code coverage. Why not? Because not if I'm doing TDD. Test-driven development, if you're doing test-driven development right, you get code coverage for free. But when approaching legacy code, that's a good time to use code coverage. So let's do that. And for folks who maybe haven't seen how it's done, let's see. Yeah, I could do approval tests, but I probably will. I most certainly will. My goal today is to try to bring it under test. Let's see. Coverage. Is this in the scheme? Whoops. Gather coverage. And let's just say all targets. So if I run the currently failing test and wait. Oh, there's something funny there. This is definitely an Xcode problem, and I hope the team there is on top of it. Well, I saw a result right away, and then it waited another 2.5 seconds to wrap up. Womp womp. Here's our coverage. You can see it. Everything in red. We happen to be hitting things in green. Do we have a valid test? So that's what that looks like in Xcode. Is you go to your scheme, you edit the test, you go into the test, you go to test options, and you turn on code coverage. The way we do it in app code, normally you just run tests and they're fast. If you want to debug tests, that takes a little longer. There's also run tests with coverage, Control C. So let me do that. And with that, we should be able to see into the Gilded rows itself. I'll just hide this. And we see the same sort of thing, red and green. All right. So step one is we want to get to green. And this is going to be painful, but let's start with that failing test. This test sets up an item, and then it passes it into the Gilded rows to the initializer. It asks for it to update quality as it does at the end of each day, and then does an assertion. Oh, let's see here. So this should be foo. We're doing characterization tests, which comes from Michael Feather's book. Still good. So this should pass, and because I'm doing TCR, let's say this is a test-only change. I wish it didn't show coverage of the tests. Oh well. So this is not a great test. What if instead of getting the name, I think we can get other things about it, like, what's wrong here? item to string. That item had, whoops, sorry. Okay, so it's got a description. It's custom string convertible. So I can wrap it in a string, or I can say description. And here's how characterization tests work. When you're approaching legacy code, it's important to not spend time trying to understand all this jibber jabber. Instead, we will ask the test, what's the description? On the off chance that it's empty, I'm going to put in something horrible like lol. There we go. So here's the actual description. And now, what I did there is all I did was copy from the failing test, paste it into the assertion, and say, well, that should pass now. Whoops. Got bit by TCR. That's okay. Well, let me do that again. There we go. Test all of food description. What is this description? It is the name, the cell in, and the quality. So what's this item? This is a foo. There's nothing special about it. It is a here, if I go here, it is not aged brie. It is not a backstage pass. It is not sulphurous, the hand of Ragnaros. And so the places where it's not, we can see the coverage is green. It is what it is. What the heck is this thing? We don't know. But we have now a test for something about aged brie. Something that's just foo. What if we add a test for aged brie? Oh, we also have these sell-in and quality things. Here, I'm just going to create aged brie. Let's just go like this. And I think I'm going to turn off TCR because I want to see tests fail. I promise not to change the production code. There we go. Aged brie. Looks like the sell-in decreases, but the quality increased. Interesting. This should pass. If I look over here, hopefully we see a little more green. Do we? I don't know. Maybe. What a pain in the butt this is. But this is how it works with legacy code. Is we need to say, okay, well, now what if the sell-in is like, what if it's sell-in 1? What if it's sell-in 2? What if the quality is something else? But let's just keep going here. Sulphurous. This will be the name of, whoops. Wrong IDE. Sulfurous does something. What am I testing? I don't know what I'm testing. How much is this covering? 51% so far. Is it capturing these edge cases around quality? No, it's not. So going this way is going to take a lot of work. But let me so this is a good question. We're aiming to get to 100% and then refactor. What we're aiming to do is add a new item, a new type of item, conjured items. And I am not going to touch this. I am frightened. Like, what am I going to do? Add in another if statement around conjured items? And how do I know that I'm not breaking anything? So it's not necessarily 100% in terms of like a code coverage metric that I'm aiming for, but I sure want to get close to it. The important thing that is to protect us from making any mistakes. For example, what if I have a slip of the finger as I'm working on the conjured item and I mistakenly add this? Tests pass. So that's not great, right? We need, or what if I misspell the name of the band? Like, yeah, you're really going to notice the difference there, right? Tests pass. So I need confidence. I need confidence. I need a safety net. And I want to then refactor the code to clean it up so that I want to make it easier to add a new feature. Going this through the path of writing individual tests is a pain. Let's add another. Backstage pass. Here we go. I'm just going to pop that in there. Take that and say, whatever it's doing, this is its current behavior. Therefore, it is what I want to pin down. There are a lot of words for this. Characterization test is what Michael Feathers calls it. In our e-learning, we talk about pin down tests where we want to pin down the behavior. Other words for it are golden master test, where it's like, as long as it does this, makes this output, it's okay. Where's our coverage? You know, it still says 51%. So I'm not too thrilled about having to do all this. I would like to dig out the big guns. Because I'm sorry, watching me do this is not going to be terribly exciting. Although, let's change one of these, just to, let's say the cell in, it's a day to go. Wasn't it like super precious to have the day before the concert is when it's most valuable, but then it drops to 0? So let's see what happens here. Yeah, 0.13. This is probably going to start hitting. Now, oh, I see. I'm just running the tests. I'm not increasing the coverage. Let me do this again. Oh, that's better. Okay, so lesson learned for me is that unlike Xcode, in Xcode you set in your scheme whether or not to gather coverage, and so every time you run tests, it's getting the coverage data. This is a good lesson for me. Whereas in app code, it will not spend time working on the coverage unless you say so, which you can get just with Control-C rather than Control-R. This makes a lot more sense. I'm like, haven't we added some stuff? So that's actually a lot better. But it gives you a sense for... I don't want to change the scheme. Let me roll that back. Actually, maybe it's okay. The scheme change, I think, is just that coverage is on. Yeah. And this one is backstage past day before, something like that. So okay, I feel a lot less worried. Okay, so the green has gone up. We could start to say, okay, if we have sulfurous and it has, we're not entering here. Oh wait, not sulfurous. See, this code is confusing as heck. A lot like real code. And I want to guard against things like, will it catch that? Oh, it did catch that. Good. Will it catch that? No, it didn't catch that. So this is the kind of thing that I want tests for all of these things. Let's see if we can't do it better. Let's go to approvals. Approval tests. The Swift version. I think what I need to do is grab it. And here it'll be easier if I do this in Xcode. Let's add this as a package. The authenticity. Well, hopefully GitHub is still GitHub. Okay, we've got, what's with this one? This is git at GitHub. Why can't it load the README? What the heck? Okay, let's add it. Well, I should just be able to add it. Maybe. Thank you. And to the test target. And hello, welcome to Tukes96, our first time chatter. Oh, we've got 10 folks here. Do say hello in the chat and share where in the world you are, if you're willing. We are working on legacy code, and This awful legacy code here, we're trying to bring it under test. It is painful to bring it under test. I want to bring it under test before I make any changes to it. It is painful. Hi, hello from Pakistan. Good to have you, Tayab13. Also a first-time chatter. So I've got a set of tests here that I'm not happy that I have to do so much because there are various parameters and it's a lot of tests. So let me just check in this change to add and this is an environment change. Add approval tests. Oh, and I should add it. I should change the dot ignore. Hang on a second. This is an important thing. When you work with approval tests, you need to add this to your git ignore. If you're doing approval tests in iOS, then you need to add this. And I see your question, Tukes. I'll get to it in a second. Let me just finish this thought. So let's add this also. Okay, so Tukes, I'm really interested to become an iOS developer, but confused if I need to learn UIKit or Swift UI. Which would you recommend first? I know that Apple wants you to learn Swift UI. But if you join any company, their code will not be in Swift UI, or it will be very little in Swift UI. Almost all of their code will be in UIKit. So I think it is important. Do you need both? I need to get better at Swift UI. I think to become a professional iOS developer, at this stage in the game, UIKit is more important. Swift UI is still buggy, and it's also very difficult to work with tests. Oh, I don't have my book here. Well, you see my book cover. Yeah, this will help to learn how to write tests for UIKit stuff. I am on YouTube. Look for Quality Coding. So thank you for your questions. Keep them coming. All right, so let's now see if we can't add approval tests. I'm going to import approvals. Hello? Why isn't it auto-completing for me? I don't know. What's going on? Let me check the test build settings. Oh no, build phases, that it's linking with approval tests. People keep talking about Flutter. Do you think it can be a better alternative personally? Better alternative personally, I like more iOS native. I've never done Flutter. I hear okay things about it. Reload project. You changed it in Xcode. Good question. As far as Flutter goes, I'm currently working on a React Native project. It's interesting. I'm learning some things about development that I think will change my iOS development. At the same time, there are things about it I hate. It's kind of like there's magic, and as long as the magic is working, it's great. I feel this way about Swift UI also. As long as the magic works, it's great. And when the magic stops working, you're out of luck. And you have to drop down. So rather than doing Flutter, I would be more inclined to look into writing, forgive me, but in writing in Kotlin instead. Because Kotlin you can do in Android. Chances are, if you want cross-platform code, that's for iOS and Android, cross-platform is kind of a lie. But you could share a lot more code if it were all in the same language. I think Kotlin is something to look at. But I've never done it. Native code wins. I think there are ways to get a little bit of the best of both worlds. Everything is a compromise. Tyab, why am I using app code and not Xcode? For the speed, among other things. The time it takes to run tests is currently broken in Xcode. It takes oh, now it decided, man, it was taking 2.5 seconds to run tests, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is I want the ability to refactor and to generate code, and app code wins hands down. Why is... Okay, so there it is. Let me just give it a build. Okay, app code. I don't know what's going on. App code normally reloads the project file as it changes. Importing Gilded rows, Swift manage. Looks like it wasn't picking up the addition of the package. Yeah, you're right. Looks like that is how I needed to go. And I have a warning from approval tests I'll have to fix. So okay, we got it working. It's showing in red, but I think that's not true. The Swift language is nice because for its type safety. I got to tell you, I miss Objective-C. But Swift has got some nice things, I will admit. All right, approval tests. So I want to write a bunch of tests, and I don't want to have, yeah, that's the thing. Mudtruck puts it out. Swift tries to keep you so safe. It's like, I'm not going to let you shoot yourself. That's a lot of times that's good until it gets in my way and you're battling the compiler. As soon as I'm battling the compiler, I'm like, I'm slowing down. I'm not able to get the test feedback I want. And I don't like that. I do miss that about Objective-C. What we are doing is we're writing tests for this bizarre code just to get its behavior pinned down so that I don't accidentally change its behavior and have the tests pass. That is what we want to do. Oh, we are at time. This has gone by. I might have to continue this next time, but I do appreciate the discussions. Let's see how far we can get. And to do that, so all I'm doing is like taking this and saying, okay, now let me change some parameters here. Like, let's say it's 10 days out. Sell in 10 days. The quality is, I don't know, just whatever. Whatever it gives back as the result, here it is, 9.7 is its current behavior. And so that is what I want to capture in a test. Okay. But doing this is a real pain. So let's see if we can't do this a little more easily. To do that, I'm going to change this to an approval test. Rather than assert equal, let me write try approvals verify right, and I'll keep this assertion here. So what's this going to do? It is going to whoops, wrong app code. But that's okay. It popped it up. I'm using the EAP, the beta release, and it's showing the difference elsewhere. So here is the output. You can see it is exactly the same as this. And so this is going into a test. I'm going to approve this. And now when I run it, the test will pass. So now that is the same as this. And I can prove this by saying, whoop, the test break. There's now a difference. So let's get back to green. And I'm going to check this in as a test only change. Use approvals for foo. I've worked with app code for around 7 years. So that's most of my, and I've done iOS development for 10 years. App code is the first thing I will reach for. As you can see, there are times when I do reach for Xcode, and that's totally fine. Okay, so now let me do a trick. Let's extract this, the name, the cell in, and the quality. This will still pass, right? I'm just extracting variables. And let me check this in. What I want to do is parameterize these. So instead of doing a approvals verify, how does this work? I think here's what I think I need to do. Let me try to extract this to a function. I'll call it end of day, because that is what it does. This will still pass. There's a reason I'm extracting it. And you'll see that in just a second here. So here it is. Now let's try something else. Combination approvals. And I want to verify all combinations. Calling end of day with, and let me change these to arrays. Hang on a second. I'm going to change them from, so here you can see this is a ghost type. It's app code shows the inferred types. I call them ghosts. You see it in gray there, where I changed it from a string. Come on. Oh, there we go. To an array. As soon as I go away from it, now you can see it's an array of string. So now let's pass in the name. I guess it's names, sell in, and quality. And do that instead of this one. Let's see what happens here. Hello, cannot convert. Oh, this is wrong. The verify all should call the function with all this. And it fails. Here's the failure. I'm going to go over by a few minutes today. Hope you don't mind. You can see, oops. That's funny. I was expecting a -1. Why is it foo00? Just a minute, something is weird here. This is what you get for watching me do it live. And this is part of why I do live coding, is that it's not practiced. Has the day passed? What is going on? Here's the original test. Not quite. This, I think, is the original test. Okay, this has puzzled me because the test itself is here. Oh, you know, and I forgot to commit this. So this is oops, include the approved result. And I think that's why it was failing. Possibly. Let's see. If I now change this. Where'd you go? Uh-oh. Too many. Let me, it's getting confusing to work in the beta version that's bringing up the not beta version. So let me remove user bin, the tool, the command line tool, because now it should Oh, I'm confused. I'm getting down a rabbit hole here. Bad, bad, bad. My apologies. Something has gone wrong. Well, hmm. Maybe I don't have the other. So approval tests relies on showing the diffs, kind of like this. It is coding. And I normally like to see the diffs inside of app code, but when I'm using the pre-release version of app code, and it's trying to show the results in app code. That's why it was trying to launch a different app code to show me the diffs. I thought that by removing the command line tool, it would come up in my other editor here. Do I not have this? Diff merge. Diff merge is there. Why is it not using diff merge? I don't know. Oh, shoot. And there it is. Okay. I guess it was there all along. I need to sort this out because I fully expected this to have a little more information. Oh, wait. Also, it shouldn't return the gilded rows. I may have it. Hang on. Let's close this. Oh, now it brings up all the things. Okay. Okay. A few more minutes. We'll see if we get there. Hey, 11 folks. Good to have you. I plan to wrap it up here in a few minutes, but I want to try to resolve this mystery. And I think it is that it is actually it's doing this unnecessary return. And what I want to check is the description. Actually, I want to check the app items description. App item 0 description. Let's try this. Let me instead return that. And this will hopefully complain that the return type is now incorrect. So I'm going to say, yes, make it return a string. And you see it updated right there. So now let's try this. Let's see where it comes up. Is it not going to come up? Well, we'll do it by hand. Here are the two files. Here's the only magic. Okay, so there it is. This is correct. I got it. This is the input, and this is the output. Whereas before, I was only seeing, what was puzzling me was that I was looking for this, and that just turns out to be the input, not the output. We can make this better, but oh, I so want to show you some things now. To approve this manually, what I can do is just copy this, This is what happens, what you do if approval test breaks down on you. You say, fine, fine, fine. I'll just make it approved myself. And there it passes. Okay, couple more minutes. This is combinations for one case. I'm doing a pattern called one of many. And let me, where is, I'm going to stick the command line launcher back in. Oh, fine. It's managed elsewhere. Question from Tayeb. I have almost 1.5 years of experience in Swift UI Kit. As a senior, what would you recommend me to become a more team player developer? I would recommend learning how to work as a team. You want to be a team player? Unfortunately, that's going to require a team. And chances are most places don't function as teams. They function as individual developers boxed off behind walls where you're expected to submit a pull request. It's a terrible way to work, but it is the way most companies work. I would recommend learning how to do software teaming, which is a new word for pair programming and mob programming. Like working with somebody else, you will learn so much. I can sit down virtually with somebody who is a junior programmer, and that junior will teach me things, probably some tricks about the IDE, whether that's Xcode or AppCode or whatever IDE we happen to be using. And I will say, wait, what did you just do? Do that again and show me how you did that. The learning goes both ways. Every time you have more than one person who's able to lay their ego aside and say, I am here to learn, and let's code this together, your expertise, your sharing will increase immensely. So I would recommend saying, can we start doing not just pairing, but I maybe like with 3 people. Have 3 people work on a feature together. You will learn so much. Let's see what happens if I break this. I am running late, but I so want to show you something. Like what happens if I add in aged brie? And sulfurous, Hand of Ragnaros, and backstage passes to an unpronounceable band. And unfortunately, I'm not set up. My approval system is broken, but we do it manually. Here's what we had before, and here's what it looks like now. Combination approvals. So far, I'm just changing the first parameter. So I have parameterized tests. We're going to come back to this next time because I don't want to run over. I want to honor your time, especially for folks who are coming in from, oh my gosh, if there's anybody still here from Pakistan, it is late. It is late for you. I learned some things. I hope you learned some things. So we'll continue. Next week is Thanksgiving in the United States. I will be off of work Thursday, Friday, and of course Saturday. I am planning to stream on Saturday, as usual, which is for Saturday evening for most of you. If you would like, I might be open to doing this on Friday as well. Let me know. Shoot me a note. You see me on my Twitter address. I need to add, but Mastodon is too hard to put down there. If you go to my Twitter, Q coding, you will see my Mastodon address. I've it very public now. And that is where I'm starting to shift my attention. Mastodon is much. There's a lot less noise and a lot less chaos, and it's just like, oh, great, just like stuff that I care about. So, thank you for joining. Thanks for everyone for your questions, your great questions. I appreciate your interaction. You're helping me solve my problems when I got tangled in a corner there for a second. So there may be one, there may be two sessions next week. We'll see. If you are watching this after the fact on Twitch or YouTube, give it a like, a subscribe, whatever, ring the bell, do the things to train the algorithm in your favor. And I will see you. Take care. Be kind to yourself and to those around you. All right.